This is why you don't actually learn from failure. You have probably heard that in order to achieve success once, you must fail hundreds of times. Let me tell you that you have been lied to your whole life, and the reality is simpler. Most people don't learn from their mistakes. Do you want to know why? Then take a seat and stay until the end, because what I'm about to tell you will change your mindset forever. Don't forget to subscribe. Shall we begin? Let's start with the famous saying, failure is part of the process. However, in reality, it's a choice. If you manage to succeed despite failures, it's not because of them. Yes, it sounds shocking to say that failure teaches you to win, but we all know that's not true. Our goal is to avoid failure at all costs. Most people don't learn from their mistakes. They prefer to play with probabilities, thinking, maybe this time it will work, instead of adapting and applying what they have learned. Think about those who keep buying lottery tickets despite the slim chances of winning. They fail over and over again because their hope of getting a different outcome is stronger than the lesson learned. Hope doesn't require effort. It's easier to cling to it rather than reflect on what went wrong and devise a new plan. Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, faced multiple rejections before finding success with his chicken recipe. Although it's said that he was rejected 1,009 times, this number is a myth. However, his story remains inspiring. Failure is overrated. What valuable lesson can we learn from KFC? Failure is not timely, nor are we good at launching. Let's imagine the 1,009 rejections. Despite that, the recipe didn't change. Why did it succeed on attempt number 1,010? Nobody really knows, and it's not interesting to most. Failure doesn't teach us anything. It's a waste of time and resources. If you spend large sums without getting results, you could have learned in a more affordable course. Failure is not celebrated. Avoid failure at all costs. It's a waste of time and resources. Learn more efficiently and economically. In business, failure represents a loss of time and resources. Despite any attempts to mask it, a defeat is a defeat. Not only do you waste valuable limited resources, but you also find yourself in a position where you must recover before attempting something new. This involves doubling efforts when you have employees on payroll, shareholders, investors, and other business expenses. Failure can set you back significantly. In summary, failures don't offer a great lesson, and they are also given too much glory, obscuring their true negative impact. Emotional burden and associated stress must also be considered. However, we recognize that life doesn't work perfectly. No one can predict the future. We can only make guesses, and sometimes those guesses are incorrect. So, what is the right approach? 1. Discard failure as learning. By embracing failure as perpetual learning, you risk getting trapped in an infinite comfort zone where you'll only fail to learn how not to keep failing. This is paradoxical, but makes complete sense. Unless you have unlimited time and money, you can't afford to try every option until something works. 2. Consider the worst-case scenario. For instance, let's say you decide to invest in stocks. You've been watching some videos and channels, and you know some investment options. You take the initiative and buy stocks of your favorite companies. What's the worst-case scenario? It's not just those companies going bankrupt, but you also heavily indebted yourself by borrowing money, and those companies go bankrupt. Now, not only have you lost your money, but you're also in debt. By considering the worst-case scenario, you're already starting to minimize risks, which is the next step. Do everything possible to make the worst-case scenario more manageable. If it's beyond your control, it's a bad trade-off, leading us to the next step: compensation. Every action you take in business is a trade-off between your expectations and reality. The better you are at making these trade-offs, the more successful you'll be. There are 2 ways to achieve this, and of course we'll tell you. Your expectations must be accurate. For that, you need to be better informed. Let's say you want to start a YouTube channel and become a content creator. You expect to quit your job, have freedom and control over your time and money. However, this is an unfounded assumption. If you know that, on average, a channel takes 1 to 3 years to take off, your assumption will be more accurate. Now you can say that if you stay consistent for a year, learn as much as possible about content creation, there's a realistic possibility of generating secondary income from content production. Increase the reward in relation to risk. Investment experts know about asymmetric risk. Essentially, this means that the potential for gain is unequal to the potential for loss. Imagine flipping a coin. If it lands heads, you lose the coin. If it lands tails, someone gives you an additional coin. It may seem fun at parties, but in business, it's a waste of time. Now imagine flipping the same coin and losing the coin if it lands heads, but someone gives you $10 if it lands tails. That's asymmetric risk. That's how people become extremely rich. If you cannot minimize the disadvantages and cannot find a way to maximize the advantages, compensation will always be against you. Failure is part of the process, but only if you keep trying. If you start a business and it fails, then you start another one and it fails. And then you start a third one and finally succeed and achieve financial independence. Then yes, failure was part of the process. If you run out of money after the second failure and end up flipping burgers, you simply failed. Colonel Sanders didn't randomly decide one day to go door-to-door selling his fried chicken recipe until someone invested in his idea. He had been in the restaurant business for over 20 years, establishing franchises and eventually selling the company for $2 million before retiring. While people love success stories against all odds, many times they are just that, stories. If you find yourself in a situation where you have to succeed despite everything, that means you have made a mistake and have entered a bad deal. That's the failure you should avoid at all costs if you truly want to achieve your goals. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Until next time.